Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Thank you for watching. If you are watching the replay, make sure that you type #replay so that I know you are watching. Today, I'm here with the one and only Chris Roebuck, which is an expert, a global expert on leadership, and the author of Lead to Succeed. Incredible book. You're going to be talking about that soon. So, Chris, a quick question about leadership. You've been, for how long have you been teaching leadership right now?
I've been teaching leadership for a long time, but it's not only teaching leadership, it's actually being a leader. So over my career, I've been a leader in the military, in the business world, and in the public sector. So what I find fascinating about where I've been is that doesn't matter where you are, if you want to make yourself successful, your team successful, and your organization successful, there are certain things that make it happen.
And what got you passionate? What made you passionate about leadership? Like, you could have done it in any field.
Yeah.
You could have done any job in the world.
Yeah.
Why teaching leadership?
Well, strangely, I started off being an accountant and then moved on to...
So what accountant leadership?
Exactly.
What's the link there?
Exactly. So I started training to be an accountant and had a moment of madness and went and joined the army. So that's where I started understanding what leadership was really about.
So you got bored about numbers and you said, let me do something more active. Because you don't find many accountants that will join the army. I don't know, that's a different stereotype.
But I think the interesting thing is that there's a structure to both. But the leadership thing was a journey where I discovered, and it started in the army, really finding out that if you get a group of people that genuinely want to work together to achieve stuff, actually they always achieve significantly more than they ever believed possible. And that's the real power of leadership. And in our organizations now, there are thousands, tens of thousands, if not millions of people who have even more potential to give, but because their leaders aren't able to give their best, they can't give their best.
I see. And I believe that leadership is so important in every aspect. I mean, leadership is one of these skills which is applied whether you're in business, you're not in business, you have a family, you care about your community. Let me say hi also to some of the people that joined. We have G10. Hello, Ellen. Thank you for joining. Sylvie, thank you. Hey, Geoffrey. Hey, Lucia, COS, Sabir. Thank you for joining here on the live. If you have any question around leadership, please comment below and leave us a comment so we can answer then your questions around leadership. The question that I have for you, Chris, is about leadership misconceptions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, like in any topic or in any field or in any industry,
Yeah.
there are some assumptions or some informations that we take for granted that they are right, and actually they might not be that right.
Yep.
So what are some of these myths that you hear saying about leadership?
The classic one for leadership is that it's complicated and we don't know how to do it, and therefore we have to go to business schools and do it. But I'm telling everybody who's watching this that if you've had a job for more than 2 or 3 years, if you've had more than 2 or 3 bosses, you already know the answer to what great leadership is about. Because if you've had a boss that is actually a boss that's inspired you, a boss that you've given 110% for, that boss made you give super performance. And that's what it's all about. It's not about leadership models. It's not about complication. It's about what made you give super performance. And the weird thing is that I go around the world and I talk to people from all sorts of sectors, transport, construction, law firms, etc. in China, in India, in the Middle East, in the States, in UK. And the funny thing is that what makes people deliver super performance is the same no matter where you go. It's those really simple things that best boss would have given you. Asking for your ideas, showing they care about you, just helping you develop your career, understanding you might make the odd genuine mistake, and things like just letting you get on with doing the job without interfering. And in all of those places, I asked that question, what did that best boss you ever have do? And over 9 years, the answer has been always the same. And it is those simple things that best boss you've had did for you. So if you want to be a great leader, just go and do those things. So the assumption that leadership is complicated, wrong. The assumption that you can't do it because you don't know the secret information, wrong. And what is really great about it is the assumption that it varies from job to job, sector to sector, wrong.
Because there are so many things wrong.
Yeah,
right?
so many things
there
wrong.
Are so many things wrong. So you mentioned some of the right things to do. You mentioned about thinking about a great boss that you had, and the fact that they were inspiring you, the fact that they were asking you for ideas, that they were keeping you involved, they were communicating, they were understanding you. But it looks easy to talk about it.
Yeah.
But if someone is running an organization or a company and there are a lot of challenges, now you are in a leadership position and you have problems that you're dealing with on a daily basis, you're managing more people, it's very stressful. It's very stressful. And I think that what I found, even running GTeX, I need to consciously remind myself in those situations of doing these small things, but they actually are a big thing, but they look small at the time because, I haven't got time for that. I got this crisis I need to solve. So what advice would you give to these kind of leaders where, they're dealing with problems all the time, consistently, and for them it's easy to forget to do these small things?
The most simple thing to do is to essentially remember that those little things that make a real difference actually don't take long. So, and let's think about it. If you're a boss, right, what annoys most people, and probably annoys you who are watching this, is bosses who interfere and don't let you get on with it, right? So if you're a boss, don't interfere, because what that means is you're not going to have to take up your time interfering and annoying the other person.
So you have more time.
So you have more time. See, this is why it's so simple. The other example, asking people for ideas. Let's be fair. Do you have any ideas? Now, that didn't take long, did it? So all of this stuff about this is really complicated, this really takes time. It's not. It's common sense, and it resonates with all of us. I think to sort of encapsulate it, for anybody watching this to be a good leader, you need to think about 3 key things. First of all, what I call firm foundation. And what that means is, has your organisation given you the basic skills around things like time management, prioritisation, delegation, and giving feedback? Now, everybody says, why is that important? That's important, very, very simply, because if you've been given a task by your boss, to manage that task right and keep it under control, you need those skills. If you don't have those skills, you're not going to be in control of the task. And every time something goes slightly wrong, you're going to go back, task, focus on the task, focus on the task. And everyone thinks, oh, that's important, I should focus on the task. But if you focus on the task alone and forget the people, what do the people think? How many times have you said to your boss, I've got something important I'd like to talk to you about, can we have a chat? And the boss has said, no, I'm sorry, I'm too busy, can we do it tomorrow? And you go, okay, we'll do it tomorrow. Then tomorrow, you go up to the boss and you say, that thing I wanted to talk to you about, can we do that now? No, sorry, too busy. Do you ask a third time? No, you don't. What is your opinion of your boss? Not good. So, taking it in that sense, it's that firm foundation gives you the time to focus on people as well as the task, because the task is under control. Then, when you focus on the people, that gives you ability to get the best from them by doing those simple things, letting them get on with it, developing their career, asking for ideas, understanding they make mistakes, and all of those really powerful things that do make a difference. Example, showing you care. Example, saying, how does what you do fit into the big picture?
Yeah.
And people say, does it matter? Yes, it does matter, because the research shows that if you as a boss explain to your people how what they do fits into the big picture versus a boss who can't be bothered, that can get you 30% extra effort from your people. Then, when you're getting the best from your people, then the question is, section 3, focus that onto what delivers success. Because we can all be working enthusiastically, not doing the right stuff, as we know. So therefore, you need to focus that onto what delivers success. So if you're further down the organisation, you have to say, does what I do align to the strategic objectives of the organisation? And that will be somewhere in your organisation strategy or plan. Is that important? I mean, the research would suggest that up to 25% of what's happening in lower levels of organisations doesn't actually contribute to what the organisation should be doing. It's stuff.
So
it's
why
stuff
do
we don't need to do.
Why do we do it then?
We do it because we've always done it and nobody tells us to stop doing it, so we just keep doing it. And what has to happen is you just have to ask the question, look, I have these X things to do. Which of these directly aligns to what we have to do as an organisation? What contributes to the service we give to our customers? And if it doesn't, just stop doing it.
Don't do it. I want to say hi to Ildiko, Monica, who else joined? Robert Stern, we have Nick Nicholson, Belinda, Deborah Mendens, Timothy, great to see you. Thank you very much for joining, guys. I really appreciate. If you have any question, just make sure you pop your questions in the comment below, because I have also one more question. Now I want to move away a bit from leadership, and I want to talk about what you've been able to do as a keynote speaker.
Yeah.
Because in the speaking industry, becoming a keynote and a paid keynote and doing it full time for a number of years, well, the most difficult thing you can do in this industry, because we all know that it's very difficult to get paid speaking engagements.
Yep.
And there are way too many speakers for the number of the events that there are out there.
Yep.
And in particular in a topic which is leadership, where, to be honest, you have a lot of other competitors. You have a lot of other speakers that they claim to be the number one leadership speaker in the world.
Yep.
So what is your secret? How do you differentiate? How were you able to get so much press coverage, being on television all the time, and being consistently relevant?
The answer is talking common sense.
Okay.
Because
tell me more. No, I like this because you make everything look simple. Tell me more.
Because look, fundamentally, everybody out there knows that for some reason in organisations, when we go into the organisation, we often take our brain out and we spend time trying to make simple stuff complicated. Okay, I try and reverse that. I try and make stuff that everybody else over there has made complicated back to being simple. And my view is that as a speaker, in the final analysis, you have to present stuff that A, resonates with people, both emotionally and rationally, so that there is a plan. So this means something to me, it makes rational sense, and it's also something that they can go and do something with. They have to be able to leave that room saying, actually, not only have I remembered an interesting fact, but I can now go and make a difference. I can now go and do something I couldn't do when I went into this room. And that's just based on, to some degree, you as a speaker doing good research, finding out what does make a difference in the real world, and then presenting that in a way that people understand. And you know, it's that simple. That's why I call it common sense. You've gone out, it's stuff that works from the real world, and you've expressed it in a simple way so people can use it. And actually, you know, you talk about TV and you talk about articles and all the rest of it, but that's fundamentally the same point. It's fundamentally taking what people perceive as being complicated and making it simple so that the person who's listening can really understand it and go away either with something they can do, or if it's a TV interview, a deeper understanding of something that they understood less about before.
And is so powerful. Making things simple, as you said, is so powerful. Because as a speaker, as communicators, as trainers, this is what we need to do. Is to take complex topics and then put them out in a way where people understand it, and is easy for them to understand. It's easy for them to do something with it, to implement them, and is not just talking about a bunch of abstract theories. We had a very good conversation with a good friend, which is Professor Chris Roebuck, which is an advisor to the royal family. And he used to teach, and he still teaches MBAs all over the world. And he made a really good point. A lot of people in the academic world, they just love to make things overcomplicated and with no practical application in the real world. And that's why there are a lot of MBA students that they spend hundreds of thousands of pounds on an MBA and then they do nothing with it. And it becomes very difficult. And I think that, yes, it's about the topic, but also it needs to be about the teacher. Because how do you get someone excited or to do something with a topic? Well, you make it simple, but also the way someone teaches the topic, that makes a huge difference in the way that the students perceives and apply the topic.
And you've got to work on the principle that there has to be a rational element and an emotional element. The rational element is what makes sense. The rational element is the evidence. But there has to be an emotional element to it as well. In terms of the rational element, that has to be reasonably hard data. So if you're saying to a group of people, I think that you should do this, or I think that this would change your lives or benefit you in some way, you have to have a figure. You can't just say, it's going to.
It might.
It might. There has to be some form of figure.
Give it a go, and then in something...
precisely.
Might happen.
So obviously, you know, what's going on up here is the conscious stuff and the subconscious stuff and the emotional stuff and the rational stuff. And actually, you know, the emotional elements of what's going on up here are significantly more powerful than we think. And therefore, if you can harness that, or you can take a completely rational approach, which is, okay, I'm here as a speaker and I'm now going to change your cost-benefit analysis. You think doing this produces this benefit, I'm going to show, and it's difficult, I'm going to show you it's easy and it produces this benefit. So the rational brain says, ooh, that's a good deal. But also, if you add on top of that, and actually, you're going to feel so much better inside when that happens, then that adds the emotional power to it. In the end, it's about the rational, but it's also about building belief. Building belief in your audience that they can go and be better than they were when they arrived in that room.
Yes, and therefore then they will take action and they will also apply what they've done, or they will buy your product or your service. There are so many benefits from it.
Absolutely.
I wanted to say hi to Florin, Vincenzo. Vincenzo was watching from Italy. Vincenzo actually one of my really good friends from Italy. We grew up together.
Wow.
And he set up to be an entrepreneur himself, and is building houses. From what I remember, is building houses with using recyclable material.
That's cool.
So it's all about creating new buildings without any waste of is a waste of resources. That's what Vincenzo does. Aslam, thank you very much for joining. Aslam, Rebecca as well. Hi, thank you for joining. I have one last question for
Yeah,
you
sure.
before we wrap up. You wrote this great book, which
Mhm.
is called Lead to Succeed, which is a
Yes.
book that I highly recommend. Guys, if you want a copy, make sure that you contact Chris directly, and then he will send you a copy. If you are lucky, you might also even get an autograph like I had, but you need to be really lucky for that to happen. What is the thing that you are the most proud of that you have written in this book?
I think it's that list. That after 9 years of going around the world asking leaders what their best boss in their career did, and discovering a list of 12, 13 different things, and that list of those simple day-to-day actions, some of which I've set out already, is the key to success as a leader in any job, in any culture, in any sector, in any place in the world. That is what I think is amazing, because if anybody does those things, they will get the best from their people, and that will make them successful, the people successful, and the organisation successful. And out of the entire book, that list of what every single person in the world says their best boss did, and you as individuals will have experienced from your best boss, that is the most powerful secret that I speak about, and that is in the book. And it's proven to deliver success. And for those of you that are financially based people, think about this. Not only does it produce individual success, but if applied in an organisation, it will deliver 30% effort from about 60% of people, which can put 10% on bottom line at no cost. There you go.
Sign me up. Sign me up.
There you go.
So you need to get a copy, guys. I highly recommend Lead to Succeed, Chris Roebuck. You can see that there is his name, Chris's name, tagged at the top of the description of this Facebook Live, or wherever you're watching this broadcast, and connecting with him directly and request a copy of the book, so then he can then personally as well, if you're lucky, he might personally sign it. Chris, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
How can people get in touch with you if someone wants to reach out to you personally? What's the best way?
Easiest thing is Google me, website www.chrisroebuck.co, email me chris@chrisroebuck.net. No problem. You can go onto the website and there's a button to press to get the book, and I will make sure one is sent to you directly.
Fantastic. Chris, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Guys, thank you very much
Bye.
for watching, and I wish you a fantastic rest of the week, and I'll catch you for the next episode. Ciao.